Have you ever walked into a room and felt like something or someone was there with you? You believe in ghosts. Is there a way to investigate unexplained experiences? You are in the right place, for Indian River Hauntings presents Encounters with the Other Side. The ghost guy, Larry Lawson, is your host. With years of experience in law enforcement, he knows how to search for the truth. Stay right here as Larry and his guests from around the world discuss paranormal evidence and answer your questions about encounters with the other side.
And welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, here on Encounters with the Other Side. So glad you're joining us today. It's going to be a great show. Cliff, you got me on there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We're
All
rolling
right.
the cameras and everything.
All right.
Today.
Well, welcome everybody to Encounters to the Other Side. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, otherwise known as the Ghost Guy. And got a great show today. I'm really anxious to have our guest on. I think everybody's going to enjoy it. But I want to make mention of how you can hear us. You can hear us on WPSL 1590 here in Port St. Lucie, Florida, but you can also pull us up live on the website at WPSL.com. You can also hear us live on the TuneIn app, Google Home, and Alexa. If you miss us live, you can catch us on YouTube in a couple of days, including the video feed. And that's why we're known as, at WPSL, the webcaster to the world. This is also a call-in show. Would love to hear from you folks out there with your questions, thoughts, and comments. Our number is 772-340-1590. Want to give a couple shout outs to some sponsors and friends. First, Paradolia Brewery, one of my favorite places in the entire world, on Cleveland Street in Sebastian. And I've got some breaking news from them, Cliff. They're putting out two new brews this week. Two new brews. Yeah, vanilla waffle cone, little light for me, but their coffee stout coming out at the end of the week. That's my ticket right there. Okay. And as Paradolia always says, face it, beer is good. Beer is good.
Benjamin Franklin, by the way.
That's right.
Benjamin Franklin actually, what he actually said was, beer is proof that God loves us.
Okay. Well, also say hi to our friends at Doodlebug Dowsing. Nikki and Sherry up there in Orlando make all the dowsing rods that we use on our investigations. IDK Paranormal, Ike Enzi out there in New Mexico. Hi to Ike and all the things he does. Anubis Paranormal Research out in Colorado, my friend Chris George, and of course our good friends at Vero Beach Magazine. Some upcoming events I want to mention on the team. We've got our November schedule out. We've got tours this weekend in downtown Vero and on the beach in Vero. So check out our website at IndianRiverHauntings.com. But on December 18th, we've got an event in Fellsmere, and that's always a fun time, Cliff. You're going to have to come and join me on that one time. And January 8th, we're heading up to Brevard County, and we'll be at Rib City. So there'll be more on that stuff coming out in the very, very near future. Mention also the show that came out that they filmed on WVWW TV 30 is out on Vimeo. So check that out on Vimeo, search TV 30. Okay. And that's my announcements for today.
Ooh,
lots of things going on.
The monologue is finished, and now the show.
Yes, and I've been really excited about this show. Found this group and been following them a bit. They're called the Ghost Sisters, and that's a group out of Ohio, my neck of the woods, I might add. And they're cops, so that definitely got my attention really quick. Wow. So I'm really excited to introduce Mandy Cummings. She's the lead investigator, the founder of the Ghost Sisters up in Ohio. Mandy, welcome to the show.
Hi, everyone.
Man, I'm really excited to have you on the show. Anytime I see somebody that's from my business, I get excited about it. And you guys do some pretty cool stuff out there. So glad you could join us today.
Glad to be on.
How many is on your team? How many investigators do you have?
There is 7 of us, but only 3 of us are full-time investigators. The other 4 are just fill-ins.
Gotcha. How many of you are actually in law enforcement or were in law enforcement?
2 of us are.
Mhm.
I recently retired early from corrections of 8 years. And the other girl who's a fill-in, she's been in law enforcement for probably 21 years, and she's a felony probation officer.
Gotcha. So it's tough job out there. Tell us a little bit more about your team. What do you guys do? Where do you investigate?
Well, we are an all-female team, and there is 3 of us that are biological sisters.
Oh, wow.
And the other girl who's a fill-in is my best friend. She's the one that's in law enforcement also.
Mhm.
I also want to add that I'm going back into law enforcement most likely here soon. But anyway, we go around, we travel all over. We've been to Tennessee, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, just anywhere to investigate the paranormal. We're out there searching for evidence of proof of paranormal, that it exists.
All female team. Do you find that unusual? Most teams appear to be mixed, but I mean, all ladies. Is that unusual, do you think?
Well, when I started the team, growing up, watching Taps when they first started, I loved them, and then it progressed watching all these other shows that came out. I noticed they were either all men or all men with maybe one woman on the team. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know at the time that I was going to start an all-female team. And I actually, when I first started, I had a guy who was on the team, but he was behind the scenes. He was our tech guy. And it was just based on us women, up front. And, later on, everybody went their own way. And I almost changed it to where I was going to add some males on the team. And I felt like I was guided not to.
Interesting.
I was so close to changing it to something else. And it was like Spirit was telling me, don't do this, leave it where it's at, because there's female teams, but you don't see a whole lot out there.
No, and you do a lot of work on YouTube also. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I have 2 pages on that I run on YouTube. I'm also an intuitive medium. So I have a YouTube channel, Intuitive Medium Mandy, and I also have Ghost Sisters. Oh. So I do a lot of lives, giving people free readings. I do tarot cards. We go live sometimes on Ghost Sisters channel. We will, go on and update what we got coming up, what's going on, or when we're out investigating, I'll go live, so everyone can see what we're doing.
Yeah, well, we do that a little bit ourselves. Do you find, how many people that you work with in law enforcement, how many of them know this part of your background, and how do they react to it?
Well, it's funny you say that, because when I first started, there was one of the officers, female officers, she was with me on the team. And there were so many people that was so intrigued with everything that, we do. And the judge, I have investigated our common police courthouse that is still a running courthouse. Mm-hmm. And the judge loves us. He has let us come there and investigate the building. And we've caught some really good evidence. And the felony probation officers that work there at the courthouse, they investigated with us. They were really intrigued with it because they were having experiences there. So I find there was a lot of officers in the field that they are interested in it. And we've had deputies go on investigations with us quite a few times. So yeah, well, that's really interesting.
That's one of the things that really got me wanting to do this show, as well as some of the other shows that I've done, is that when I first came in the business, and I'm quite a bit older than you, so when I first started, nobody talked about this. It was taboo. Now it seems to be pretty commonplace. I have a couple of folks that are retired cops. Ike Enzi, a good friend of mine out in New Mexico, he's a retired police chief. He'll tell the same story. Back in the day, you just didn't discuss it. But now, especially after the TV show started coming out, it became a little bit more commonplace, a little bit more accepted. And now I'm really impressed with how many folks in our business, as well as the other emergency services, have come forward and said, yeah, we have these experiences too, and we want to investigate. So,
Well, it was hard working where I worked at because, coming out of the mediumship closet, so to say, people look at you like, what? And I did get a lot of, well, not a lot of grief, but, the director where I worked, he kind of teased me or, it was hard at first because how people were going to look at me, but then I just got used to it and I just didn't care. I went on with what I know, what I love, what I'm passionate about, and what I believe in, what I'm doing.
interesting. And now it's pretty much accepted, I guess, right?
Yeah, because now they're like, some of them want to join us or, go on investigations with us, or they're watching us. And, it's been a really good journey.
Now, I know you're in corrections, but you've also been to the police academy, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I did graduate from the police academy in 2006.
That's what I thought. How do you find that your law enforcement background training and especially in corrections, has that helped prepare you, or has it influenced how you investigate? What has your law enforcement background done for you in this field?
Interesting question. Yes, I do believe it has helped me in the field, especially when I go to jails to investigate, or, courthouse or a prison. I'm able to relate to the inmates. I know how they feel, and that's, in that circumstance that they were in. I'm able to do role plays and talk to them and get a lot of communication with them.
Mhm.
So yeah, it has helped me. Instead of just going in and just asking the basic questions, I can go in and relate to them. Sometimes it could be good, and sometimes, it could be bad because, the inmates might not like an officer coming in talking to them. But I've not had a bad encounter when going to these prisons or going to the jails or the courthouses.
So that's interesting. Your paranormal work has actually helped with your law enforcement work. A lot of times it's the other way around. So that's kind of an interesting take on it.
Mhm.
Very, very interesting. Now you work county, right? You worked county prior to this, right? County.
I worked at the multi-county out of Ohio, Marion, Ohio, and they house females and males.
Yeah. Well, Marion, Ohio is also the spot of one of the most famous haunted as well as cinematographic prisons in the country. If I'm not mistaken, what movie did they film at Marion Correctional?
Oh, it would have been Mansfield Reformatory
Mansfield.
Prison.
That's what that's what I'm thinking is Mansfield. Okay. All right. Yeah, I had my first experience with the paranormal in the Dade County Jail. I got my start as a corrections officer in Miami way back in the dark ages. And that was my first encounter. And of course, I've been to a number of prisons and jails since then doing this type of work, always full of something exciting. Do you find that prisons or hospitals, things like, places like that where folks are, for lack of a better term, institutionalized, or they can't leave, do you find that they're more active than, say, a house?
Yes, because there's a lot of negativity in these prisons and jails, a lot of death in hospitals. I've investigated hospitals, prisons. I actually investigated the Mansfield prison 3 times before I even started. Well, 2 times before I started Ghost Sisters, and then the 3rd time when we did start Ghost Sisters, we went. And the first time I ever investigated there, I captured the guard Frank walking in solitary with the lights on. I had a GoPro on and I captured him walking at the end. Didn't know it until later.
Now, who's Frank? Can you enlighten folks that may not know much about the Mansfield Reformatory?
Frank is a guard who was killed in solitary.
Mm-hmm.
And he's been seen all over the prison.
Do you know how long ago?
Oh, it's probably been, I don't know, maybe 1930s, 40s, somewhere around there.
But a famous ghost in that prison also, no doubt.
Yes.
About that.
Yes.
What is, what is probably the most significant event that you've captured as evidence?
I would say the guard, Frank, and there was a haunted school out of Middle Point, Ohio, and the school was called Middle Point School.
Mhm.
And we actually captured a dark figure on the night vision camera that we had stationed there. I had just walked out of this room, and I felt something rush up on me. And at the same time, when I was telling the person who was with me, I said, something just rushed up on me. At the same time, they're calling me on the radio that they just seen this black thing come up from the floor. You see it, it's a shadow, a dark shadow. It looked like a big dark blob, and it just rushes out the doorway. At the same time, when I was walking out, you don't see me walking out, but it was all in the same time.
Yeah.
But it was the coolest thing ever.
My partner Cliff here has a question for you.
Well, actually, I got a question for both of you. And well, you had also mentioned another thing. You had mentioned infrared cameras. Do you use an app for a cell phone to get the infrared effect, or is there another type of an app?
We have we have cameras that we station, and we also have an app that has infrared in it. When we do, there's this one thing we use, this app that has the Ovilus 5 built into it. Well, it's not the Ovilus 5, but it's like that. It has a dictionary in it. It's like an Ovilus, and it uses words to communicate with you. And it also has the infrared in it. We do this, what we call I call it the spray. And we use it to capture images of spirit, because water is a kinetic energy source, that you can use to capture images. When we do this, we record it with this app. We use light, we use water, and we go back through it, and we have caught some really cool images using the infrared app that we have when we do this.
Question for both of you. Being former law enforcement officers, you go out there and you investigate, and you need facts to gather when you're investigating a crime. Now, how often does a law enforcement officer have to use intuition to find the facts that they'll need for the case? Now, is that when you decide that, wow, we're into something here, we need to do something else with our lives now?
My general background, Cliff, is criminal investigations.
Right.
That's what I did when I wasn't running the police academy. And gut instinct, intuition, that's the hunch is a lot of times what it is. And that's what you got to develop, is that hunch.
The best secular word for it is instinct.
Instinct.
Yeah,
Yeah, no doubt.
absolutely, yeah.
And I talk about that quite a bit. We also, just to answer your question a bit further, Cliff, there's a couple of different types of cameras you can use. There is like a FLIR infrared, which can seek heat. And you can either get a device to do it handheld, or there's now things you can add to your phone that will allow you to get an infrared signal.
Okay.
So those types of things out there, and pretty commonly used in the field.
All right.
So,
Well, let me clarify. Actually, that the dark shadow figure was caught on the night vision camera.
oh, night vision. Now that's a little bit of a
Night
different
vision.
thing. Night,
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to see the infrared camera, but it was caught on the night vision camera.
And a lot of the
Yeah.
cameras, like the cameras we use, are rated to see into the dark. You don't need any light, and it gives you kind of a grayish black type of background.
Like security
yeah,
camera.
pretty much, yeah.
Mhm.
That's what we do.
And I do use my intuition a lot when I go into these investigations, but I don't like to know the history on a place, because being a medium, I like to go in not knowing anything, because I do spiritual writing, and that is where I channel with the energies that are still here. And I take 10 minutes of that channeling, getting names, what happened to them, how old they are, what year it is, things like that. And then I will take that, and when we are investigating, I try to collect that evidence to see if it'll compare to what I got in my writing.
Well, this begs another question for me, since you're the team lead as well as having this gift. Do you find yourself, once in the middle of investigation, sometimes being interrupted by seeing something and having that shift your attention, like, oh, there's somebody over there? And do you announce that to the rest of your team?
Yes, I try not to just go in as a medium all the time. I do in the
Not to turn
beginning.
it off, though.
It's not that easy. I like to go in and do the investigating part. more than so much the medium, but I can't turn that off. A lot of times there's things that come up to me and I get that feeling, or I see them or hear them. And yeah, I let everybody know real quick, something's here, whatever it is I'm getting.
Okay. But do you tell your other team members what it is you're getting, or do you just say, look,
I say it out loud.
Do you? Okay. All right. I guess we're going to take a break in a couple minutes, Cliff, but I need to do some other housekeeping for just a quick second.
Sure.
And when we come back after this break, Mandy, I want to talk a little bit about your evidence and stuff that you collect. Now, before we go, folks, I'm having a contest. And the contest is going to be this. Those of you that are listening to the show, you can either be listening to it live, or you can catch it on YouTube later, or the station WPSL.com later. However you hear about it, write me at ghostguy59@gmail.com and let me know a little bit about the show so I know you were listening. And I'm going to put your names into a hat. And before our show on the 22nd of December, our Christmas show, I'll be drawing the names for folks to win a t-shirt, an Indian River Hauntings t-shirt. So let me know you're listening by writing in ghostguy59@gmail.com. Enter the contest. So let's take a break.
And we'll be right back with more of the Ghost Guy and his guest.
Would you like the opportunity to participate in a paranormal adventure? Indian River Hauntings is your connection for historical walking tours and events with a paranormal twist. Learn historical facts and haunted stories about Vero Beach, Sebastian, and Fellsmere. Guests get a hands-on experience and use investigative equipment to see for themselves what can and cannot be explained. Book your ghost tour or contact Larry Lawson for a custom event at the website IndianRiverHauntings.com.
And that's
We're back with the Ghost Guy and his guest.
I'm back with Mandy Cummings of Ghost Girls out of Ohio. Now, what part of Ohio are you out of again, Mandy?
Marion, Ohio.
Ohio. That's down near
But we have one of our investigators. She's from Cincinnati.
Oh, way down there. I'm from Toledo. I'm up north of you in the northwest there. You ever been up to Toledo to investigate?
No, but I've been to Toledo lots of times.
I'm sorry. There's the yacht club up there that's supposed to be pretty haunted. I'm not. I've never investigated up there. I take it back. I did investigate one place with my brother up there, who's kind of my northern arm of the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation, and we did a spot up there near Holland, Ohio. But that's a story for a whole different day. So getting back to your team, I always like to find out how other teams investigate. Tell me a little bit about how you set up your investigations. How do you conduct them? I know you said you walk in and do like an overall up front, but then how do you conduct your investigations after that? Can you?
Well, after, I don't like to do the tour when we book these places. I don't want to go on a tour because I don't want to hear what happened to anyone.
Okay.
So I kind of stay behind. And again, I will do the spiritual writing for 10 minutes. And then we just kind of we will either go together, depending how many girls are on the investigation. Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's only 3 of us, so we stay together. Sometimes there's 4 or 5. So we kind of break it off and just kind of, a group will go here or a group will go there. And we just go out there and just try to see what we can get,
Mm-hmm. Do you ever bring observers on? Folks say, hey, I really would like to go with you guys and see what it's like. Do you take folks with you very often?
We sometimes run a contest on Ghost Sisters, giving people the option to win to go with us, and we pay for them to go to these really haunted locations. And we also buy them a shirt, so they'll wear a Ghost Sisters shirt and get a free investigation if they win the contest.
Can't beat that. Just sounds a little bit like my contest I just started here. When you go to, how do you find your venues? How do you find the places that you investigate? Do folks call you and say, look, I've got a problem here? Do you go to residences where people have issues? Or do you just go to like the Mansfield reformatories?
It just depends. There's a lot of locations. You see a lot of these paranormal investigators on TV going to, and it's like, wow, I haven't heard of this one. I'd like to go there. So usually I will Google it and see, I will contact them on how much it costs to get in and when we can get in. But as far as going the history on it, the one girl, Jenny, on my team, she does the history part of it because she's a realtor. So she looks up the history and everything, what happened to them. I don't do that part. That's her job. But we do residential cases too. People usually reach out to us on our page. They message us saying, hey, I got this going on. But we are very careful on what cases we will take, because we get a lot of people just messaging us, hey, can you come investigate? We think we got a ghost here. But if I did that for everyone that ever messaged us, I would be slammed with investigations. We tend to take on the more emergency cases, like, okay, you're scared to be in your home, something's maybe pushing you, scratching you, you're hearing, voices, things being thrown. The more serious side, not just, I think I got a ghost, hearing somebody walking around. So a lot of times when we go investigate, we find out a lot of these places are not, people think they have something evil there, but they don't. It's just an angry spirit, or it's family members. Because I believe how you are now is how you are in spirit. If you're an angry person now, you're going to be angry in spirit. If you're a fun-loving person, you're going to be that way in spirit.
How do you differentiate which cases? You have two people call on, both have a problem. Let's just say there's somebody in the house being pushed. What do you do to vet that person? Or if you do anything, do you do any pre-investigation interviews with them, or chat with them a little bit about what they're, I know you don't like to know necessarily what's happened in the house, but do you do anything to check the folks out?
Yes, sometimes if we do take on the case, I do like to get more, either talk to them on the phone, get a little bit more on what's going on, like what are they hearing, seeing, or some of them have videos they'll send. I have to look at the videos, they'll send pictures. I have to really look at things to decide whether I'm going to take this case on or not. And if I do take it on after looking at their evidence that they send to me, or I talk to them on the phone, sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I'll go there, take a little bit of equipment with me and just see what I get. And then I'll decide whether we're going to take on the case or not to help them.
Have you ever run into a case where it's not necessarily paranormal, but it is the situation that the client is in, whether it be emotional, psychological, or maybe induced with some sort of adult type of beverage? Or you see what I'm trying to say? Have you ever run into that?
Like they're creating their own,
Yeah.
they're creating their own poltergeist. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are in negative relationships, or just had a lot, maybe before they moved in, there was people that were arguing there all the time, a lot of bad things, which, that can create a poltergeist, all that negativity in one area. Yeah, we've went into cases like that.
But what if it's none of the above? It's actually them, not even creating the poltergeist, but they're imagining it. Have you ever run into those situations?
No, I can't say that we have.
Okay.
Well, again, it could be them creating their own poltergeist, but not just them imagining it. No, usually when we go, we usually get something, voices or, pictures. It just depends.
Now, and I'm asking this because we run into the same problem. You get to somebody's house, and we don't tend to do houses very often unless it's an emergency. But you get over there and you find out that it's somebody that has something there, and they ask you to get rid of it. Can you do that?
Oh, well, I'll let them know that there's no guarantee that we can get rid of anything. We have went and saged a few places, but I let them know, I used to believe that saging would help get rid of them, but now that I've been doing it for a while, I'm learning, no, it doesn't always work. It can upset the spirits, because I from what I'm learning, it hurts them. The sage hurts them. They don't like it.
Mhm.
I also learned that it lowers the energies in the home. The sage can, but there's no guarantee that you're removing it. And if you are, maybe you're just moving them out of the house for, I don't know, a short time, or they could come back if they want, you know?
I'm actually
So-
glad to hear you say that there, because I've seen folks out there that say we can send somebody away. And there's folks that can. I believe that there are folks that with your gift that can move the other side over, or somebody over to the other side, I should say. But so often folks say it and they really can't. And that puts us in a precarious situation, because what if the problem gets worse?
This is true.
Or what if it's somebody that does have some other issues emotionally, mentally, that, you know, they think the problem's solved, but then it comes back and it could put them in a precarious situation. So that's always been a worry of mine.
Yeah, you know, I think it's all about the person's intention, if they can move the spirit on or not. Who really knows if they do, you know, I don't try to move them on. I might have tried it maybe once during an investigation, and I'm not guaranteed that it, you know, it happened. But my intentions was to do this, was to move the spirit on. But a lot of times these people in these homes, they find out it's just family that's there, or just an angry spirit, and they don't want you to do it. So we don't do it. So I've never really been asked, can you move them on? I just don't do that, because there's no guarantee. I don't want to say, yes, I can move them on, and then the problem comes back. You know what I mean? So I've seen this happen.
Yeah, I totally agree. You don't make promises that you can't keep.
Yes, I can say I can try, I can cleanse the area, you know, of negativity, you know, try to, you know, clean up the area of this negativity, but there's no guarantee that I'm moving anything on.
Yeah, well, I like to say that I'm as sensitive as a rock, so I don't have that ability either way. I just try and go and collect the evidence. What kind of equipment do you like to use? And if you could, as you mention it, describe a little bit about what it does and why it does it, because folks listening may not know, you know, the piece of equipment you're talking about. So go ahead.
So we use all kinds of equipment. I'll just name everything and then I'll just go from there. So we have the ink box, which we use to communicate with spirits, use it to manipulate the words to talk to us through it. We have the intercom box. We have the REM pod, and the REM pod it picks up on electromagnetic fields. And we use a K2, which it picks up on static electricities that come near it. It'll light up. We use a geophone, which picks up on static electricity, picks up on movement. It also picks up on temperature and electromagnetic fields.
Is that the EDI?
It's the EMF.
Yeah. Okay.
It's called the geophone.
Okay. So, okay. Because I have a geophone, but it's made by a company called EDI. I was just curious.
Yes, actually, yes,
Okay.
they do make it.
You mentioned something called an ink box.
Yes,
Can you explain
Katie
that?
Stafford. Katie Stafford. If I don't know if you've heard of him, but he's well known on the Travel Channel,
Mhm.
and he makes devices. And this is one of his products here that he had made. He only put so many out. And we were fortunate enough to be able to get one of his boxes that he made. And it looks like actually, I have it right here. Would you like me to show you?
Yeah. Unfortunately, the folks on the other end of the radio can't see it unless they come on YouTube afterwards. Oh, so it's like a portal type
A
of
boom box.
a boombox. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So
And what did you call it?
it's called the ink box.
Ink box. Okay. I have not heard it. I've not heard a device like that called that. This is the first time. All right. And what does that do essentially?
It's set up to where you can use a cassette tape to record your EVPs on it. And it has like different sweeps on it that it sweeps through, like it's basically like going really fast through the channels, like just like a spirit box.
Spirit box. Right. Okay.
But only it's quieter. It picks up, I think it does the white noise too. It's a lot quieter, smooth. I mean, it is it's hard to explain this box, but if you know, this box is amazing. We get a lot of clear responses with this box. Like I said, it has two different sweeps.
Yeah, and I can explain it a little bit to the folks out there. What it does is it goes on the theory that was really championed by Nikola Tesla, Rodive, Jorgensen back in the day, and it's the sweeping of radio frequencies quickly. And
Mhm.
you literally go through hundreds in just a couple of seconds sometimes, and you're looking for words. And when you can get 2 or 3 words that come out in a row, that's pretty significant, because it's sweeping so fast through the frequencies. If you get 2 or 3 words, it's probably over 10 different frequencies, and that can be significant during an investigation. And I believe the one you're talking about probably takes out a lot of the static too, and you're hearing just the words. So it's interesting. I've just never heard it called an ink box before. So
It is an amazing device. So.
yeah, we use something similar to that ourselves. Go ahead, Cliff.
Also, the intercom box here, I will show it to you. This is the intercom box made by IDC Devices.
Okay.
It is also made by Jay Prather, and Jay Prather makes devices for Ghost Adventures. Now, this device is also used. It has 2 different sweeps for the white noise and the radio.
Okay.
It also uses it. You can use it as a direct link. I don't know if you've heard of that, where it uses your energy. So like I can put my finger, I will ask a question, and then I put my finger over this hole that's on the box, and it uses it as a direct link and uses my energy.
Okay. I would sure like to, who creates that again? Because I'd sure like to take a look at it and check to see the science of it.
Jay Prather. Yes, Jay Prather. And he made this for me probably about 3 years ago. He designed it for us, put our logo on it and everything. And I love it. It's a really good device. Whenever we use it a lot, when we'll do the Estes method. We like to use the ink box for that, and the intercom box. We'll have 2 people one on the intercom box and one on the ink box. So
both of those basically go through the radio frequencies. That's their job. Cliff's got a question for you.
Do they disable the tuning device in it, or how do they make it work?
The way, are you talking about Spirit or the people that created the box?
Well, we're talking about the ink box itself. It was probably originally a radio.
Yes.
But you want it to like scan, and how do they cause it to scan? Because I've seen these boxes everywhere, but and then I see apps that aren't as reliable. These are more reliable than the phone apps, but
yes. Well, they still have it set up to where you can tune it through the radio stations, but it's a different frequency that it's sweeping through.
It just scans through the frequencies. It's set up to just run through the frequencies automatically at different rates per second.
It has the AM and the FM, which when I turn this device on, I don't have it on AM or FM. I just have it on regular radio, and I can set it at sweep 1 or sweep 2.
Okay.
It's hard for me to explain it because it does so much, but the best way to explain it is it's basically sweeping through the channels real fast, different frequencies.
Yeah, and that's you can do an entire. I did a whole class on nothing but the radio frequencies, and it's kind of an interesting study. And I think, but that's the biggest problem, Cliff, Mandy, that we find in our business is right now most of this is still theoretical. And don't misunderstand me. I'd seen some amazing results out of whether you call it a spirit box, ink box, or whatever, but it's still all theoretical. And that's where we got to get in our field, is find a way to go beyond theoretical and somehow gather evidence that we can conclusively answer question. We can answer what the situation is. We hear the words on the ink box, spirit box, but we don't know conclusively if that's who's talking to us. Now I have, and I'm sure Mandy has too, gotten answers to questions that are unmistakable.
Yes, so intelligent responses,
but it's still all theoretical. And until we can get past that in our field, it's going to be tough for the scientific community to finally recognize a lot of it.
Yeah. And we also use the Ovilus 5. And those who don't know what that is, it's a device that has a dictionary built into it. Spirits use the words to manipulate. They can say anything. Now, I've had my name come through the obelisk numerous times, and I find that funny. I don't know if my name was put in this or not, but it does come through a lot.
Now, see,
Um,
I have a problem with the Ovilus. That's not a piece of equipment I'll use simply because it's got names already in it. And from an evidentiary point of view, if it's already there, is it tainted evidence? That's just my personal thought on that. But
and I understand that.
and
too.
it's called an Ovilus, folks. And what it is, it's a piece of equipment that has names already in it. And in theory, spirit on the other side can manipulate it and bring the words out. And a lot of people swear by it. And far be it from me to totally discount it. I just don't like using it because it already has words attached to it. That's just me, though.
We also use the spirit rods, which are dowsing rods. I call them spirit rods. And we also use the SLS camera. Now, the SLS camera is a device that was built from the Xbox, kinetic Xbox, the dance that the kids would always play, doing the dance on there. Somebody took this device and made it into a tool that us paranormal investigators can use. And I love it. A lot of people don't like it, but I like it because it does pick up on energy. So it will map out somebody. If someone is standing there in front of it, it will also map out, say if I'm standing in front of it, it will map out me.
Well,
But you got to be careful with the SLS because it does map out, it can map out chairs, it can map out lamps. I mean, just different things. So you have to be really careful with the SLS, but we love it.
Yeah, and how that originally came up with, people started playing tennis on the TV or whatever, and they saw another figure popping up and they couldn't figure out what it was. And that's how they realized that sometimes the device was mapping something else. Mandy's 100% right, though. If you don't know how to use it, you could have a coat rack standing there and it'll map. And so you've got to be able to tell the difference. So is this a question for me or?
Well, yeah, because you mentioned divining rods quite often on the show.
Yep.
And I figure they've got to be available somewhere.
Oh, you can find them all over the place. I personally use my dear friends Nikki and Sherry, who are part of my team, and they own Doodlebug Dowsing up in Orlando. So and you'd be surprised how much of this stuff is on Amazon. You can get a lot of this equipment on Amazon.
Some stuff you can get on eBay.
eBay?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so it's out there. But here's the kicker. And Mandy, I don't know how you feel about this. We've got all kinds of cool devices out there, but we really, in my opinion, we haven't improved the technology much in the last 10 years. It seems sometimes folks come up with different angles to it, but we've not been able to create a device that gives us definitive evidence yet. It's all kind of playing on what we've been doing. My personal belief is the thing that your ink box, or the spirit box, I think that's where we're going to get our big breakthrough eventually. That's just my opinion. But do you find that we've really advanced that much in the equipment used in the field?
I think since I started 4 years ago, there has been some, and people are coming up with unique ways using different devices. Now, what we're discovering is the cat balls.
Yep.
Cat balls are something we use a lot now.
Explain what those are. Explain what those are, the cat balls.
The cat balls are just regular cat balls that light up. You got to push in this button, and if you have to go near it and touch it. It doesn't pick up on, like, if the closer you get, like a sensor, and it'll light up. No. You have to touch the cat ball. It's originally made for cats to play with the cat balls, but paranormal investigators are now using them as devices, tools in the field.
You had Cliff a little scared there. Cliff wasn't sure quite what you meant there. I'm glad you explained that. they're for cats to bat little plastic balls with lights in them, and the cats bat them around and they light up.
I've got one that lights blue and red, and I put it on my dashboard one night in the backyard, and somebody pulled in my driveway, and I hit that thing, and it lit up blue and red, and they took off.
Well, I love them, and you do have to go up and literally tap on it sometimes. So when I can get, a spirit to go over and light that ball up, and I ask questions and they keep doing it after each question that I'm asking, I mean, is it evidence? Some people would say yes, some people would say no. But knowing that it doesn't have that sensor to where the closer I would get to it, it's going to trigger it. No, you have to touch this cat ball.
And that is my biggest conundrum in this. You know exactly what happens while you're doing an investigation. You're seeing it, you're experiencing it. You know that you're in control of the scene, as it were. But how do we get to a point where we can finally take that evidence that and unequivocally put it before a jury of our peers and say, this is the evidence the other side? And that's where I'm coming from. And I'm a big believer in somehow getting us all together to come up with the standards and training, not like the police academy, to come up with standards and training so that we're all doing things essentially the same way, or at least have a structure that we follow, so that when you're using your pieces of equipment up there and I'm using them down here, we're using a standard. And hopefully someday that will allow us to collect this evidence and show what Mandy got the same thing Larry got under the same conditions. Make sense?
Yes, but I mean, honestly, I think the best way we're going to get a lot of them to understand what we're getting and how everybody's getting the same thing, we're going to have to take them out there.
That's happened plenty of times. We have total folks that my number 2 guy, Mike Maxwell, retired firefighter, thought it was a bunch of hooey till he came out with his wife in one of my events, and he's now my number 2 guy. So I totally agree with you. We've only got a few more minutes left. So what I really like to hear, your favorite 2 things, your favorite spot to investigate and your best investigation ever. And by that, I mean exciting, scared, however you want to put it.
I love investigating prisons. And there is a place in Bristol, Tennessee that I love to investigate that us girls get to go. It's called the Ura Shrine. It is a private location. It's not a place you pay to go. It is actually owned by a man that was in law enforcement for more than 30 years. And it's an amazing place. It has everything from witches, from evil things, from non-human entities. I mean, everything a paranormal investigator would want in one place. And I have actually had something manifest on me, and another ex-officer had seen the same thing that I was seeing. Something was manifesting on me, and someone else had seen it. And that was terrifying.
Manifesting on you. What exactly are you able to describe?
It was above me. This, it looked like a brown, kind of like a translucent looking figure. It was like kind of brown looking. It was hovering right above me, like right on me. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to get it off of me. I think it was trying to use my energy to kind of manifest itself and whatever it was. But when I seen it, I kind of like spun around trying to get it off of me. And I seen this thing float really fast underneath the table. So that was really terrifying to me, because knowing what this place is and everything that's in it, I was terrified. Somebody else
saw it happening.
Yes, another person who is a member of the shrine, and he's also ex-law enforcement, and he's in it. He said, Mandy, you had something manifesting on you. I said, I know. I'm like, oh my gosh.
And he saw it with his own eyes. He saw it with his own eyes.
Yes, he's seen it. He was looking at me like, he was like in shock, and he was watching me. He was watching me, because when I seen it, like I said, I spun around in a circle trying to get it off of me, because I mean, when I seen it, it was like right here hovering. I seen it through another kind of like a reflection, and I was like, what? It just shocked me when I seen it, and I knew something wasn't right. And like I said, I was trying to get it off of me, and I seen it fly underneath the table. And
you now, forgive me, but I didn't quite catch the name. It was a shrine, like a Masonic Lodge type place.
The man who owns the shrine, he is a jitsu master. He's ex-law enforcement for more than 30 years. He has multiple haunted things here. He has a self-man-made cave that he built, and it is very dark. It has a hot tub and a cold tub for the yin and the yang. Because of what he does, he tries to balance the good and bad.
Oh, so this is a place that he developed just for this type of experience.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
he tries to balance the good and the bad, but he welcomes anything in. Like he has a dragon portal table. It is huge, 6,000 pounds. And they welcome anything through it. They don't, because he's a jitsu master. He doesn't judge whatever comes through. He has a lot of Japanese things there. He has a lot of voodoo things there, haunted objects. It's hard to explain this place, but you can go to Ghost Sisters and see multiple live video investigations that we have done at the shrine and see what we're talking about. There's a bamboo area. There's a earth gate, which is an area for witches, actual witches at this place. It is an amazing place. It's a magical place. It's hard to explain it. Like I said, it's every investigator's, it has everything in it. So when you go here, you're not just getting today's spirits or the past spirits, you're getting everything in one. And I have had things follow me from there, and it has been crazy.
So, and this is a place he created himself just out of things that might be have attachments to it, that type of thing.
Well, his family had owned it for years. His grandfather had it, and there was a lot of history there with him when he was a cop. There's a lot of things that took place there that I won't say on live, but a lot of things I've heard. And it's hard for him to even talk about it, but
Interesting.
There's things.
Okay, well,
but he did take it over, made it into what it is today, and it is an amazing place. He contacted me to help him, and I helped him. And ever since then, he's loved us.
How did he want you to help him?
They were having an issue with the portal table. He was looking for someone to be able to do remote viewing, maybe read what was going on. Okay. And he contacted me on my intuitive page, and I said, yes, I'll help you. Did a video with him and one of the other shrine members, told him what I was getting, what I was seeing. And I picked up on a Japanese sword. And as soon as I said that, he was like, oh my gosh.
Okay.
That's what it was.
Well,
this sword.
We're just about out of time. So do you have a website or any place that, with a lot of questions I didn't even get a chance to get to today.
I know, I got a lot.
We're gonna have to come do this again, but any Facebook or websites you want to let the folks know about before we go? Yes, we are on all social media. We are on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. You can, our biggest platform is Facebook. You can find us, just put in Ghost Sisters and we should pop up. We do a lot of live videos there. Okay, great. Well, I want to thank you, Mandy, for joining us. And folks, I want to thank you for joining us also. Please don't forget the contest that I have going. And ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you I know exactly what's going on out there, but there is something that goes on that we confront on a daily basis or often enough. And we're not quite sure what it is, but it's our job, my desire to try and find out the answers to what this phenomenon is. I'm also certain that it's something very, very natural for us. We just don't realize it's natural yet. Right. Yeah. That's right. Okay. Well, thanks again for joining us, everyone, on Encounters with the Other Side. Join us next week. I've got a very interesting guest coming on. I won't blow it by telling you now, but join us next week. Remember the contest. Let me know if you're listening. ghostguy59@gmail.com. Tell me a little bit about the show and you'll enter the contest to be drawn on December 22nd. So thanks again for joining. Please take care, be safe, love your family, and we'll see you on the other side. Good show. Thank you, Mandy. And thank you, Larry, the Ghost Guy, Wednesday on WPSL, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Thank you for joining us for Indian River Hauntings presents Encounters with the Other Side. If you'd like to join Larry for a ghost tour or one of his events, check the Indian River Hauntings website for Treasure Coast locations. And be sure to follow on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Until next time.